In Osu, there are many factors that keep the game and its community running. Two big factors are 1. The top players that bring attention to the game and work ever so hard to reach the number 1 spot, and 2. The mappers. Without the mappers, there would be no game. Just think about it. No circles place means no playing the game. However, we will be looking at the top players that strive to make their own meta in order to exploit the ever so inflated PP system. These are the top players that map their own meta. Firstly, I feel as if it is important to establish some history. In mid to late 2018, the Hard Rock meta was in full effect, where idke would hold the PP record on Cry Thunder with Hard Rock, which was 981 PP, before getting nerfed to 936 PP on the 7th of February 2019, after a general rebalance to the PP system. So what has this got to do with players that farm their own map? Well, it leads us on to the next person, who basically defined their own mapping and playstyle like a plague across the community. Let's start from my earliest memory of an occurrence like this happening. That is at the start of 2019, where the Sotax jump farm era was the most apparent, while in this case, the fiery cross-screen 1-2 jumps. Guess Who Is Back was ranked on the 10th of February 2019, and is one of the most popular beat maps of all time, with 37.5 million plays on the map. This map was inspired by the countless amount of fiery diffs that were exploited from other popular maps like Super Driver, Lonely Go, and Sotax's Quaver, and even Kimi no Boken. These maps had somewhat of the same philosophy of the vertical jumps. After the rework, Fiery Rage had found the secret formula for 3 mod maps that broke the PP system completely. What we really want to look at is the Fiery's extreme diff of Guess Who's Back, and how it is mapped. If you don't know about Fiery Rage or his mapping, he is basically the connoisseur of vertical cross-screen 1-2 jumps. This period was also known as one of the most boring periods of scores, because this was the only type of maps people were farming. Or that's what he is mainly recognized for, beside him having an episode on Twitter every other day. Anyways, one day after the map was ranked, Fiery Rage would play it with Double Time and Hard Rock on the 11th of February 2019 to set the PP record at the time, which was 948 PP. This is also where the iconic clip towards the end of the map comes from, where he tells people to watch Cookie Z's Freedom Dive hit in Hard Rock FC, presumably because it is a way better score than whatever this was. Alright, I'll let Chrome Ching take over to explain how the next player farmed their own map.
Right before we look at the next player, let's take a quick look at the rework that enabled this player to map his own farm map. During this time period of the 3 mod farm era, things were going well. Every top player was spamming AR11 on TV-sized farm maps. FG Sky kept getting the PP record with 4 mod that constantly kept getting nerfed. Then suddenly, something snapped. The Zexar rework dropped. Since it had a bunch of changes, let's look at the main one, like the balance by adding rhythm complexity judgments that were supposed to take into account the speed and strain used on the map. So just a speed buff, and this significantly nerfed TV-sized jump maps, completely changing the meta forever. Now for the second player, Scytho. In Arian's documentary video on him, he briefly touched on his mapping career. Go check it out, by the way. But here is an example where Scytho defied expectations and mapped his own relevant farm map, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Mapped by Scytho was ranked on the 3rd of December 2022, which was basically during the peak of the speed meta in Osu. Everyone should be up to date about this speed meta, with maps like Glory Days and Lionheart being mapped, and the Wooning Keyboard being discovered.
Nice.
Which puts the speed meta into heights that were comparable to the jump aim era that Arian had explained earlier. But let's rewind back a bit to the 7th of May 2022, when Scytho got a score on an unranked and cheesily mapped version of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which was in fact 10 stars. Hence the title, I mapped the 10 star just to see it. With a few tweaks to the mapping in terms of poshing the ordering of objects for a standardly ranked map, with the long stream at the start and the jumps, it was eventually ranked. The current ranked version of the map is 182 BPM with no mod, but when DT is applied it becomes 273 BPM. After only 13 days of the map being ranked, Scytho would get this run where he would FC the map with double time for 980 PP with 97.5% accuracy on the 16th of December 2022. It could have been 1k if his accuracy was better, which is pretty much unfortunate, but this isn't the only instance where a top player mapped his own map to farm it. But I'll let Arian explain that one. Thanks for having me, Arian.
Karcher. Karcher is known for a lot of things, like FCing Yomiuri twice, being an exceptionally talented all-rounder, and finally, he is also known for his mapping, especially his consistency and stream-based maps on banger songs. In this instance, Karcher's tournament presence also plays a big part, as he would actually FC his own map during the Circle Circuit Championships, where he would actually get 3rd place overall at the end of the tourney. However, on the 9th of October 2022, he would be up against Utami, where they would be playing Karcher's map set of My Heart Will Go On, a Dragon Force map, which was ranked on the 25th of February 2022. So, what type of map was this? You guessed it, a 200 BPM stream and consistency map with an insane spaced ending. Karcher would FC the map with 99.52% accuracy for give or take 800 PP, but since he was playing with no fail, I am unable to retrieve the exact score. But comparing it to this player with the same accuracy, the play is worth 803 PP. This is insane, because of not only the nerves in a tournament environment, which is also a pressuring feeling, but the fact that it was match point for Utami. However, under pressure, Karcher still pulled through, and I guess you could say he actually had a slight advantage, as this was his own map. So he knew what he was up for, and he most likely knew that he was capable of FCing his own map. Finally, a player who does not play Standard, but instead Mania, Jackads. Jackads used to be the GOAT at Mania, a player who reigned dominance over all competition before he quit, because he basically completed everything he wanted in the game, as well as getting a bit bored of it. But the map we will be looking at is Last Resort, Jackads Legacy, 7 keys. This guest difficulty was mapped by himself, as apparent from the difficulty name. The map was ranked on the 22nd of March 2020, and later that day, Jackads thought, why not play it? And this is where the play on screen came from, and the iconic clip with his friend in the background, and shit is hype because he set a 1285 PP play. However, this wasn't enough for Jackads, as he would actually improve his score on the 14th of October 2020, where he would get a 1 miss score that is worth 1343 PP. This is an absolutely insane score, and I wonder what the current leaderboards would look like if Jackads had only continued to play Mania. But I am happy for him, for being able to quit the Osu addiction after achieving all of his goals. Mad respect. In conclusion, mappers stand as the lifeline of the Osu community, holding a pivotal point and an underappreciated role in the game. These dedicated individuals willingly embrace the challenge of ranking a map through the tedious ranking process, showing their commitment to crafting, engaging, and rhythmically satisfying maps for the players in this game to farm. This is nothing short of admirable, as it ensures that Osu continues to flourish with a rich collection of beat maps so that all players can play the game. In this scenario, where the top players take initiative to create their own map to exploit the inflation of performance points, players lead to the breaking of records and reshaping how the game is viewed and played. This also shows that if they can do it, you can do it too. I strongly encourage you to have a go at mapping and even try get a map ranked, even though it is a pretty tedious and complicated process. If Osu had more mappers, there would be countless examples of these things happening, which in turn creates Osu history.